following is a local resident producer's program. The program content is the sole responsibility of the producer and does not necessarily reflect the views or policies of CATV2, Oshkosh Community Media Services, the City of Oshkosh, or Time Warner Cable.
Hi everyone and welcome to Eye on Oshkosh. Cheryl, Hentz, and Dan Rylance here, and very pleased to have you joining us this evening. You know, labor unions have been in the media a lot lately, mostly public sector unions, but as of this taping, Oshkosh Corp is, you know, kind of battling between the union there and the employer, and so we just want to talk about a lot of issues that relate to unions tonight and try and set the records straight on some things. And by the way, hopefully by the time this show airs, Oshkosh Corp will have resolved their labor management discrepancies. At least as of this taping, they seem to be making some headway. So anyway, welcome again to the program, and we're pleased to also welcome to the program to help us talk about unions, Larry Lautenschlager. Larry is president of the Winnebago County Labor Council, and Paulette Feld, who is the first female president of AFSCME, Council 24, Wisconsin State Employees Union. So thanks to both of you very much for being here.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yep. Let's just start with the first question that I have, and that is that a week or so ago from when we were taping this, we read that unions representing some 50,000 state workers decided against seeking recertification votes. Explain to us and our viewers in layman's terms what that really means.
What the certification is all about, it would allow us to bargain with the state, be the official bargaining representative for the employees in our particular union, which is about 23,000 state employees. We're the biggest, Council 24 is the biggest group of state employees, and certification would allow us to bargain with the state, but because of Act 10, we are only allowed to bargain up to whatever the CIP is. Okay. So at this point in time, it would only allow us to bargain for wages up to 3%. That doesn't mean the state would have to give us that 3%. Mm-hmm. It would mean we can talk to them about it. But the part that a lot of people don't understand is in order to get that certification, we would have to have membership sign up and vote to keep the union and that certification, but not as in the past that it would be the majority of people voting as it is in most elections, including elections for elected representatives, but we would have to have 51% of all of our represented employees, which is something normally, you know, not even the governor has to get 51% of the state residents to vote for them. So on top of that, the cost to do this for our union, per unit, we have 5 bargaining units in our union, we would have to spend $10,000 a year just to try to get this certification. And so we'd be in a constant state of having these elections and just to maybe get 3%.
Yeah. So it's not worth the cost, it's not worth the time, it's not worth the effort.
And certification is only for 1 year.
Right.
I mean, so every year you're going to have to do it over. I mean,
so we looked at it and decided that we have other things that we can spend our time doing. And what I remind people of, Council 24 has been around for over 75 years. And for most of that time, until the late 50s, we weren't certified bargaining. We didn't have a collective bargaining agreement, but we got some of our biggest things done during that time.
Sure.
So we're looking at it as, we're just going back to the way it was, and we'll do other things besides try to get 3%, 1%.
So, take us back prior to Act 10. You guys were very strong and so forth. All unions, for the most part, probably were. I think there are some weak ones out there, but not too many. What really is the benefit of someone being a member of a union right now? Because, I mean, Dan and I are of the opinion that Governor Walker's intent with this really was to break unions. And he can spin it any way he wants, and his supporters can spin it any way they want. But that's the feeling that you and I have. That's our opinion on it. And so what do you really have as a union now? Why would I, if I were a public sector worker, want to belong to a union?
Well, I mean, the unions aren't the bad guys. I mean, that's what they
Right.
tried to portray us as the bad guys. And actually, the union itself are its members. And the biggest, advantage of it is we know that the union workers earn 15% or $2.50 more than non-union workers. And it's likelihood that union shops or union employees are going to have paid employee health insurance, or it's going to have some kind of retirement plan. Non-union shops don't always offer that. So I mean, those are three big things right there. I mean, the wages, the pension or retirement plan, and the health insurance. I mean, those all help with union shops.
Okay.
One of the things, because right now we're in the process, we have to sign up our members because we no longer can have dues taken out of their paychecks like we did in the past. So we've been organizing and getting people to recommit to the union. And one of the things we tell them is that, and one of the things that the state is finding out already is that the union, our union, offered a sense of stability in the workplace. Things like how, in a big institution like Winnebago or the correctional facilities, how vacations are picked and the process that you go through for that. That was all part of local agreements that were done with the local unions, and it worked for all the employees. And now they're starting to find out that things are a little chaotic without that stability there. And there are other things that are starting to show up, and the people in management don't know how to deal with it. Even though most aspects of the contract are still in place, they're starting to find out that we did serve a purpose.
Right, and there's been several articles out within the last few weeks to a month or so that talked about that the unions are actually as strong is out there for the middle class. And as the unions are kind of weakening a little bit because of things like Governor Walker and some of the other governors in the Midwest are trying to strip the employees of theirs. I mean, the middle class are the ones that lose out. I mean, and I think people forget that that one of the big things that the union ensured was a lot of policies throughout the year that helped benefit the middle class, and that's 40-hour work week. That was unemployment compensation. That was Medicare, Medicaid, family medical leave. I mean, the employer just didn't give, their employees this stuff. I mean, the unions are the ones that went in and drove and said, this is what we need for our employees. I mean, the unions are out there for, number one, fair wages, number two, safe and good working conditions, and number three is job stability. I mean, job security. I mean, that's what the unions are there for. I mean, and if you don't have that, I mean, I don't know what you got.
Well, can I just follow up on that for a minute? The union opponents would say, okay, Larry, well, you know what? You got OSHA, who helps protect employees from a safety standpoint. There's, workers' compensation things that, all these different organizations oversee safety and health and well-being, and you got your local health departments, what have you. So we don't need a union to watch out for our health and safety and well-being. And as far as a 40-hour week, well, I don't belong to a union, but if I work more than 40 hours, my employer has to pay me time and a half, which I think that's a misnomer because I don't think they have to, but maybe you can correct me on that. But how would you address those people who make those kinds of comments?
Well, and I think one of the things too with the unions is not so much even with the wages and the safety as well, but it's how they treat employees. I mean, the work rules in the workplace need to be, the union is always there to make sure that those are uniform and everybody is treated fairly. I've heard at some shops or whatever that if a person puts in the wrong screw, I mean, not that it really is detrimental to the assembly or whatever, but puts in the wrong screw, they're going to get disciplined and possibly termination there. I mean, people shouldn't have to work under those types of working conditions, and kind of tiptoeing on eggshells, wondering if you did everything right that day and that you're not going to get fired at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what, the unions try to do is try to make sure that the working conditions and that everybody is treated fairly. I mean, you can have the OSHA, you can have all this, but if the employer doesn't treat everybody in a fair manner, I mean, those are the big things to the employees.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, if Act number 10 wiped everything out except you could bargain for up to 3% salary increases each year, and you have people that are, oh, you can't take that vacation this time, or how's that going to work? I mean, where does an employee in your union go in the system you can't go to the union person anymore because you can't deal with these things, or the union can still represent them?
Right.
We can still represent
Okay.
people, and that's the other part we have to, the other information we have to get out there to people is that we will still have the right to represent in terms of, let's say, you get called into your supervisor's
Right.
office because of something you did. There's federal laws,
Okay.
Weingarten rights, that
Okay.
allow any employee to have a representative there,
Okay.
and we can serve as that representative. Even Scott Walker can't stop us from doing that because
Okay.
it's a federal law. And so that's what we'll be operating with. Now, we won't have the contract, our
Yeah.
contract to file grievances on some of the small things, but in terms of large things like terminations and suspensions and those kind of things, we'll still be able to represent
Okay.
with the Wisconsin Employment Relations Commission on those kind of things. And that's what we'll concentrate on doing. But we'll still be able to go to those meetings and make sure whatever rules are in place, because there will be a handbook for us that's supposed to come out sometime in October.
A post-union handbook.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay,
Just
okay.
like, the cities are doing, everybody's doing.
But also,
Yeah.
in the grievance process, what people got to understand is that to file a complaint with the Wisconsin Employment Relations Commission, it costs money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the union will still be able to represent that person and pay for those services,
Okay.
because I think right now, I mean, the last I heard, and I don't know if it's true or not, but for you to file a claim with the Wisconsin Employment Relations Commission and get it heard, it's about $800. I mean, so what employee, has $800
Right.
to throw away just to file a complaint, where the union will represent you in that personnel commission, and they pay the fee because
Sure.
you are a union member.
You guys also have lawyers and unions who can
Correct.
step in
Yeah.
and represent folks too, and
Right.
that is a huge benefit, I think,
Right.
too, because who can afford a lawyer these days
Right.
Right.
to represent themselves?
Right.
Do you think that a wise management person would say, I don't have the time or staff to deal with all of these issues that the union and so I'm still gonna rely on them? Do you think you'll still have power that way?
I think, I'm hoping as we
Yeah.
move along in the process that that's the way wise managers
yeah.
will look at it.
Yeah.
That, we have this group in place that knows how to, talk
Yeah.
to the group of employees and work with them and come to agreements with them so that everybody's working from the same page. I hope that's what they learn.
I mean, the
That's what-
time-wise, it
right.
would kill a small office to
Right.
deal with this.
Right.
Right.
So maybe you've lost some, but in a sense, you haven't lost
Right.
some.
Right.
We're hoping we're going to keep that. And there was an article in the Post-Crescent a few weeks ago that talked about the Menasha School District, and the district itself decided that they are going to work with their employees because it's in the best interest of the district to be on good terms and work with those employees. Because I mean, if you're on good terms and you work with your employees, the employees are going to, are going to treat the employer
Right.
better, just like the employer's going to treat the employees. So it makes sense to work
Yeah.
together.
I want to talk about loss and benefits, the retirement and the medical. Can you give us a sense of statistically an average state employee in terms of what that means to his pocketbook?
Well, I can tell you what it means to my pocketbook.
Well,
my pocketbook. I mean,
Yeah.
it's for me, it's close to about $500 a month.
Okay.
Out of and the problem that we have, and we've tried to correct it at the bargaining table when we first had to we had to do contributions to our health insurance, was try to split it between pay periods to try to make it more beneficial for the employees that they could do it.
Yeah.
But the state says we can't do it. So what happens is, out of the one payroll, out of one check per month, all of your insurances comes out. So if you have health insurance, you have dental insurance, you have Epic insurance, you have any kind of insurance, those all come out of one check. I mean, so it's a big chunk. So I think I have supplemental dental with the state, and I have health insurance, and with my 5.8% of the retirement, that one check of mine is about $403 they take out.
That's a little check on the.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the second check of mine, which they just mainly take out the retirement,
Right.
is about $98. So it comes to about $500 a month that I lose out. And with our people out at Winnebago, I mean, there's a lot of forced overtime. And I mean, even though, yes, you get your retirement all in the end when you retire, but it's based on your retirement in your pay period is based on your salary, on your gross salary of 5.8%. So the more that you make, or the more overtime you
Right.
make, the more retirement they're going to take out. And you try to tell, well, yeah, you'll get that in the end, but you try to tell the younger employee who has 30 years yet to retirement
Right.
before they
Doesn't
see
mean
that
anything,
money,
does it?
saying, well, wait a minute, I need that money now.
Yeah.
So it's
Mark Harris, the executive director of the county, was in here a couple of times, and his figure is that 1 out of every 8 people who work in Winnebago County is a public employee.
Yep.
And he said the net income loss is $27 million.
Oh, yes, it is.
Is that? Yeah.
That's pretty
And how
accurate.
does that create economic growth or?
That's one of my biggest worries in all of this is that, and I've talked to Mark Harris about
Yeah.
it too, and wondering when it's going to really hit Oshkosh and Winnebago County, the impact of this, and probably sometime, definitely yet this year, maybe even.
Maybe Christmas sales.
Yeah,
Huh?
Christmas is going to be tough for people.
Yeah.
It's just going to be tough. It's like, we were talking about how, what kind of checks people are getting, getting a check for 2 weeks of work for $40. One of the biggest, I think, travesties of this whole thing is that we had from February until August to plan for this. But usually when employer decides to do that kind of thing to employees, they do it on a gradual basis over a 2-3 year period. It's not 1 week you're doing fine and then the next week you have no money. But that's what happened to us. We were, somebody making $12 an hour was taken, from getting, $500 a month to, or $500 a paycheck to, $200 or less, depending on if they have a family or not.
Sure.
I personally don't know how people in that situation are doing it. I'm single, and it's $300 coming out, every month.
Sure.
I had to find a place. What am I going to give up? And that's what a lot of people are having to decide. And sooner or later, that's going to hit the restaurants and small businesses.
It's clearly buying stuff. It's
Right.
consumer spending, don't you think?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's certain things you can't do without.
Yeah.
Your mortgage or your
Right.
rent still stays the same. Your utilities usually
Right.
go up a little bit each year.
Right.
If you own property, your property taxes are going to probably go up a little bit.
And we do pay property
yeah.
taxes just like everybody else.
We're taxpayers.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's certain fixed expenses that for the most part they're fixed. They may go up a bit, but you can't do much to get rid of those
Right.
or to change them. And so you have to start looking at other places, whether it be getting rid of the cable. I don't know that that's the worst thing in the world, or giving up certain amenities on your cell phone. I don't know that that's the worst thing in the world. But yeah, the disposable income isn't going to be there. So people aren't going to go out to eat as
Right.
much, and they're not going to buy the
Right.
kinds of
You can't.
gifts that they once bought.
Right. Right.
And I said that from the start, and
Yep.
I think you probably did too, that it's all going to trickle down.
Right.
These
And-
people
Sooner or
can
later,
sit there
yeah.
and say, well, it doesn't affect me. I'm not a public sector worker. Well, it's going to. If you own a business or a restaurant,
Right.
it's going to affect you, and we all may end up paying, fees and things like that for different
Exactly.
city or county services. The school district, I think, is looking at imposing more fees for different things. So it's going to affect everybody in one way or another, whether they realize that or not.
And I think from what I've seen, and what I know is that after Dane and Milwaukee County, Winnebago County does have the largest group of public employees in the state, because there are so many state and facilities in our county, and that used to be a good thing, but I don't know if if that's such a good thing anymore.
Yeah.
If they'd be lobbying to have a correctional facility in their county anymore, if it had to be done again today. But
Yeah.
Right.
it's going to really hit home in probably a few weeks.
And it definitely makes a challenge on recruitment,
Absolutely.
trying to hire for the state, because
Right.
I mean, what's the benefit of working for state anymore?
Right.
I mean, working for the state used to be a good self-sufficient job, and you could
Yeah.
support a family on it. You can't anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, most state employees are working 2, sometimes 3 jobs. I mean, just to make ends meet. Because
Big raises was never a part of, but good benefits
Right.
were a part, weren't
Well, and that was one of the part.
Yeah.
We kept our wages down
Yeah.
because we knew,
Right.
that of the benefits that we had, and we wanted to keep the benefits. So wages, and I think that's one of the things that I think Governor Walker forgets, that state employees, which are his employees, I mean, don't make
Right.
$100,000 a year. They only make 30, 40, 50,000, and the whole thing through this whole thing is, well, these public employees are making these absorbent
Right.
amounts of over 105,000 a year or whatever. They can afford to do that. They can afford to pay this. Well, one of the things that I can't understand either is I wonder where Mr. Walker went to school, because the math that he talks about doesn't add up, because he says, well, what people don't have to belong to a union and pay their union dues, they can supplement that to pay what they're paying for their retirement and their health insurance. Well, I paid $38 a month on my union dues. I'm losing almost $500 a month. I mean, the numbers just don't add up.
No.
I mean, I don't know how I could supplement $38 to make
From
up for
$500.
$500.
Well, that's the same argument that Michelle Litchin's kind of used,
Right.
is that, well, look what we've done, wonderful Wisconsin taxpayers and citizens. We've managed to allow you to keep all the same services that
Right.
you had before, and we did it without raising any taxes, and everything is wonderful, And I don't know what kind of rose-colored glasses she's looking at, but that is the same kind of math. Maybe they went to the same school.
Same school.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Could we turn to 2012? What are your political objectives in 2012? Do you want to recall Walker? Do you want to concentrate on legislative races? Where do you think the unions are going to go in 2012?
Well, I think there's definitely the movement out there to recall Walker,
Okay.
and it's going to end up being the same thing, as it was with the Senate, that it's going to be grassroots
Okay.
effort to do this. It's going to be, people in the trenches who are going to.
And you had some success in the recall
Right,
elections.
right.
You missed one vote,
Right.
but you did
Well,
succeed.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people, felt that was kind of a failure, and I didn't think it was a failure at all, because I mean, even though we didn't get the majority back in the Senate, but we brought that vote closer.
You bet.
I mean, one vote away, and we know that we have some Republicans on our Senators Dale Schultz and a couple that kind of do some logical thinking.
We'll see what happens in the next month.
Well,
on that
exactly.
vote.
So I
Yeah.
mean, at least if anything, we prevented something, the Senate from being able to jam things through like they have in the past.
Right, right.
But isn't the legislature control more important than spending a huge amount of time and effort to recall Walker?
I think, we're looking at both things.
Yeah.
And, it's a big plate that we have in
Okay.
front of us. But there's definitely, people are looking at it that we can't survive 4 years of Scott Walker, so we
Right.
have to do something about it.
Okay.
And
U.S. Senate race, presidential,
Yeah.
is less important to you than
it's important.
It's
to
Yeah,
me,
they're all
but
are.
all those are
think,
important to
um,
us. Yeah.
it's a big year?
for
It is.
for the people of Wisconsin, for a lot of people, the old saying that politics is local, and to get Wisconsin back to where we were and to be the state that we were, that people were, we are a 50-50 split state, and there's a lot of different viewpoints, but we could get along and get things done. And the way things are right now, that's not happening. And even though nobody really has a mandate, we need to find a way to get the working together back. And for a lot of us, it's looking at recalling the governor. And from there, I mean, the elections in 2012 there's a lot, we have assembly, all the assemblies up for election in 2012, so that's going to happen anyhow.
Right.
So hopefully people will have realized, that one, going out and voting is important, and two, that, maybe some of these people who think taxes are the worst thing this side of whatever are, don't really know what they're talking about. So I think the assembly will be something that just happens. And there's also discussion of recalling some of the senators who will be up for recall.
for re-election?
for re-election, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
re-election and some that we can recall
Okay.
once they hit their 1 year mark.
Oh, I see
So,
what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
anything can happen
Yeah.
yet.
But your ultimate goal is to restore the power of the unions?
Well, to restore us to a point where we we can
You can negotiate on
negotiate and
Right.
talk to the
working
employer
conditions
and
and things like that, I would think you'd want.
it's not about the money, and
Right.
from week one that was the that's what we said. It's not
Right.
about the money. We were willing to give up the benefits
Right.
in order to keep our collective bargaining rights, and the way Scott Walker approached that, it's obvious that he was out to
Right.
decimate the union.
I mean, because he even admitted, that the collective bargaining wasn't really going to save any money.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't.
Right.
I mean, the insurance and the pension was the big things, and like Paulette said, we were willing to give on those. I mean, it's just but you didn't have to strip us completely of our collective bargaining
Right.
rights. I mean,
Unions used to have a very good reputation. They used to serve a lot of great benefits for a lot of people. When do you think that some people started to sort of turn against the union and feel like maybe they weren't serving quite the purpose that they should have, or that they got too greedy and this kind of thing? When do you think that started to change?
I think it was through this whole legislative thing or whatever that they kind of painted the unions as the bad guy. I mean, Scott Walker kept saying, well, it's because of the union benefits, that's driving this. But I mean, it's I bargained 6 contracts, 12 years for the Wisconsin State Employees Union, and I'm telling you, we don't go down to Madison and sit with the employer and we say we want this, we want that, and they say, oh, you're the union, yeah, we're going to give it to you. No, there's give and take. I mean, And what people don't understand is all these contracts have to be approved. So the legislation, both Senate and the legislature, has to approve these contracts. So if they didn't like what's in these contracts, and we had Republican, we had Democrat Senate legislator, we had Connie Thompson the years with the Republican governor, but if they had a problem with these contracts then, why did they vote for them then? All of a sudden now it's kind of like, well, it's a union fault because of these contracts. Well, we only have these contracts because you agreed to them and you approved them.
We're almost out of time, but I want to talk real briefly about the endorsement process a little bit. You know, you hear the anti-union people out there say, look at those unions. They're only supporting candidates who support the union position. Well, I think that is one of the stupidest comments I've ever heard. Everybody supports candidates who support what they like. I don't care if you give $10 to a political campaign or $1,000 to a political campaign. You're not going to give it to someone who has opposing views of yours. So what a ridiculous comment these people are making. I mean, how stupid is that? What would your response be?
Well, I mean, with Council 24, I mean, we have our own, what we call political, state employees political action. I mean, and we don't look at just the party. We look at truly what candidate represents and will represent the working families. I mean, we've endorsed, Council 24 have endorsed several Republicans. I mean, because if they're on our side, yeah, we don't have a problem with that. I mean, we're not just going to say, well, we're going to vote for this person because we're going to endorse this person because they're a Democrat, even though they might not agree with our views. I mean, we're not going to do that, and I don't think we have.
I think the thing that, is the hard part for people to understand about public employees endorsing candidates is that, unlike other unions, we're endorsing our employers, so to speak. And that therein, I think, lies the whole big issue with public employee unions, period, is that, we're using our political action money, which is voluntary money that people give outside of their dues. We're using that to endorse candidates, and sometimes those candidates get elected and sometimes they don't, and we're seeing what happens to a candidate with somebody who's elected who was a candidate we didn't endorse, and is what we believe using that we're being punished because of that.
Sure. Real quickly, what's the morale like with the employees that you represent or work with?
It's a tough time. We're dealing with a lot of retirements because people got out because they were afraid of what's going to happen. I work in a small area and 3 people left, and so we're dealing with how to get the work done and slowness in deciding how those positions are going to be filled, and just the reductions in the paycheck. I mean, that's going to take people down, that they're changing their lifestyles, and it's tough some days. I see it.
Vacancies hard to fill?
It is.
Yeah.
Like I said, it is tough to, even though the job market's not booming out there and you would think that you'd have people busting your doors down to come in. I mean, it isn't always there because, like you said, there's really is no, I mean, the wages aren't the best. I mean, it's not, but now you don't have the benefits behind it. So it's kind of like, why? So yeah, that's it. I mean, we're working a lot short, and we're trying to get the work done with the shortage of employees that we have.
Sure.
Nobody busting down the doors, just union busting. That's the only busting that's going on.
There you go.
Well, good luck. Thanks to both
Thank
of you
you.
for being here.
Thank
We
you.
always appreciate it.
Yeah.
And that's going to do it for this segment. We will take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by Lisa Voss from the Oshkosh Public Library. We'll be right back.
Thanks very
Thank
much.
you.
Nice to meet you.
Every year, the U.S. Department of the Treasury receives about 1.4 million reports of problems with paper checks. Checks can be lost, stolen, or delayed. If you still receive Social Security payments by paper check, Treasury wants you to know about a safer, more convenient way to get your money. The Direct Express Prepaid Debit MasterCard. The Direct Express card is new and is available to anyone receiving Social Security benefits, even if you don't have a bank account. Your monthly benefits will be automatically placed onto your card account each month on the day your money is due. While other debit cards cost money, it is possible to use the Direct Express card for free to make purchases, pay bills, and get cash at thousands of locations nationwide. There are no sign-up or monthly account fees. No more waiting for the mail or worrying about lost or stolen checks. Call 1-877-212-9991 or visit www.usdirectexpress.com.
And welcome back to the second half of Eye on Oshkosh. Lisa Voss from the Oshkosh Public Library is here now. We're going to be talking about a few different things tonight, but in particular the Read to a Dog program. This is a national program that's been around for a number of years, as far as I know, probably longer than that even. And it really goes right to the heart of a lot of literacy issues with kids today. So we want to talk about that, and welcome to the program. You've been on before, and it's nice to have you back. It's nice to have you back. So Read to a Dog program. Tell us a little bit about what it's about.
Well, it's as simple as it sounds.
Read to a
You
dog.
come to the library. We need to have people sign up at the library or call us and set up an appointment. They're 20-minute sessions. And the kids come in and they choose some books that they're comfortable with, and they sit down and they read to a trained therapy dog. And it's been very well received. We've been doing it for about 5 years. And right now we have 4 therapy dogs that come in with their owners. And as I said, the kids sit down and read to them. And parents say that it's really helpful. I mean, everyone from researchers to the parents themselves say that it's very helpful for kids who are reluctant readers, who may have some problems with reading, don't like reading aloud. Reading to the dog really helps them increase their or boost their literacy skills.
Well, and dogs don't judge if you stumble through a sentence or whatever. The dog's not, going to be judging or prejudging.
No, they
the
don't.
dog just continues.
They don't
to
bark if you miss a word.
That's
they
right.
Don't, they're very,
they don't
very
snicker and
That's
they don't
right.
do
They're
all
very
that.
accepting.
And now I've actually professionally I've done articles on this program, and I know it's been around in other communities and other states for much longer than what we've had it here. And the follow-up that you hear from students who have been through it years earlier, I mean, they really have a lot of wonderful accolades to say about the program. And the other thing that some parents have told me it has done is their children may have been afraid of dogs prior to this. And it has helped to curb that fear of dogs as well.
Well, because these are special dogs, obviously. These, as I said, they're trained therapy
All
dogs.
dogs are special.
And
Lisa.
they are. I know, we were just talking about our dogs. And, but they, they're very calm. They're very well behaved because they are so well trained. So it's not like walking up to someone's house and having a dog jump on you or something.
Yeah.
It's a totally different
And
experience.
they're not barking and
That's right. They
that kind of
just they
thing.
can handle any situation.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the therapy dogs. I think we've all heard about that, where they go into nursing homes or hospitals and they help with patients there. But you can't just. I mean, any dog can become a therapy dog if it meets the qualifications, but there are some qualifications that are involved in actually being able to become a certified type of therapy dog. Yes.
Right, and they. I don't train the dogs,
Right.
obviously myself, but
Right.
they are. Dogs. I have friends who actually have trained therapy dogs, and they go through a pretty rigorous training process, and they have to be assessed to make sure that they have the temperament, that the level of obedience that's needed to work with someone, say, who has a disability, to be able to go into a nursing home and be able to, as I said before, handle whatever comes up. I mean, when a dog comes to the library, you know, occasionally we have children who cry and who are loud and run around and things like that. That happens. And a dog that's going to react to all of that and not be able to maintain that level of composure is really not going to work in this situation.
Yeah.
The dogs that we have are through a group called Intermountain Therapy Animals. I want to say they're based maybe in Denver, somewhere
They're
in
out
that
west.
area, out
Yeah,
west.
and I think they're the
And-
ones who actually started this
And
program.
they started the READ program, which is Reading Education Assistance Dogs, which is sort of a subset of Intermountain Therapy. And so they are, you know, trained to sit patiently and appear to be listening. I think they are listening in a lot
Yeah.
of cases, but
They probably are. Dogs
it-
are good listeners.
yeah, it's really been a great program.
So this is, it's 20-minute sessions
Right.
that these kids read to a dog. And how often per week? What days of the week? What times of the day?
We do it on Mondays, and we have a session going on right now that'll run through just about the end of November.
Okay.
And you just call the library. If you're there, stop in at the children's desk at the lower level and set up your appointment. They're after-school type appointments, so we can usually find something that will fit into the time frame that you need. And you can also call the library at 236-5208 and set up an appointment. You can sign up for one session, see if you like it. You can sign up for a session each week. Really, it's whatever works for you. And I think a lot of people see that if they come once a week, they see some definite benefits for the child.
And how is this set up? Is it, you know, the child goes off with a dog into a private area, or are they reading to a dog in front of, like, are there other people around, or give us
No,
a
it's
little-
really just the
paint the
kids.
picture.
We'll have the dogs, you know, that we give them enough space in our large meeting room, and
Okay.
we usually, I believe right now they're dividing that room in half, and they'll have 2 dogs in each section.
Mm-hmm.
And again, because the dogs are so well trained, they're not going to react if there's someone across the room doing the same thing. So the child comes in. I'm sure if they're not comfortable coming in without a parent, the parent can come in and sit, you know, off to the side. But they aren't reading in front of an audience or anything. And I think that's one of the reasons that it works, because lots of kids are apprehensive, not just reading, you know, at home to somebody, but they get in a classroom situation where they're called on to read out loud. And it may be just a case where they don't have the confidence, maybe they actually don't have the reading skills that they feel that they should have, and it's very stressful for a child. If you sat in a classroom and watched that, it's very difficult for that child. And again, in this situation, no one's judging them,
Yeah.
no one's grading them, they don't have anyone around but the dog and the dog's owner and maybe a parent who can hear them, and it just, that comfort level, it raises that comfort level and allows that child to really explore reading and come to enjoy it and not dread it like they do in other situations.
Sure. Now, if we could only get dogs to go into a classroom with us, you know, if we're in a classroom setting, and sit with us while we have to answer questions when we're called upon, you know.
That'd be good.
We'd all appreciate that.
Here's some consumer questions. I use the library all the time. It's a great library, good staff.
Thank you.
Recently, I noticed when I go in to get a book, it says that Fond du Lac will no longer be in the Winifex library system as of November 1st. Why is that?
Oh, Fond du Lac, they actually are still part of the Winifex library system. They are not part of our automation system. There's the Winifex library system, and then we have what's called the Winifex automated library system, which runs the electronic catalog,
Okay,
where you look
okay.
up your books online, all
Okay.
of that. They have decided that they would prefer to have their own
System.
catalog system.
So I can't
Put it in
get a
layman's
library
terms.
book from them still, or
You
can I?
can, you just have to go about it differently. You
Okay.
need staff assistance. We need to actually do an interlibrary loan,
Okay.
which typically we would do only for a library outside
Outside the
Winifex.
system, yeah.
But in this case, because their materials aren't going to be showing up in our catalog anymore.
You're gonna have to
So you
search.
won't know it's there. We're going to have to search and then
Okay.
put in a request, and they'll be doing the same for other
And
libraries.
turnaround time obviously would be longer.
It could be longer.
Yeah, it's really quick right now.
It's pretty fast now.
really
It's a
quick.
pretty smooth system
Yeah.
when you're
And they
on
have
the-
so many books that I want that I was okay. I understand.
And we'll always, if there's
Yeah.
something that we don't have,
no, you
we're
guys are
always
great about
entertained.
that,
Right.
But I
you
keep
can
seeing
request
that on the
things.
catalog as of I'm
Right.
thinking, oh God,
Well,
all,
and
all
we-
these mystery books at Oshkosh, I'm not going to get them from Fond du Lac anymore.
Well, and as we see more demand for those, who knows?
You get
we
'em.
might
Yeah.
we really are able to purchase things and meet the
Okay.
needs of our customers.
Before you go on,
Yeah.
can I just, did you have anything else on the Read to a Dog program before we?
Well, we do have spots open, so
Okay.
it's a very popular program, but don't assume that you can't get in. And as I said, you don't have to sign up for the entire session. You can sign up for as many as you want. Call the desk 236-5208,
Okay.
the children's desk, and it really is a neat experience. And we have kids that come in who don't necessarily have reading problems. They just like that interaction with the dog, and it's good for any child to read aloud.
Sure,
So
absolutely.
it's we invite anyone who wants to give it a try.
Okay, you announced that owners of Kindle and other similar things now have access to ebooks.
Yes, they do.
Would you kind of go through that with us? How many books are there available? How does it work?
Well, there are thousands of books available actually through a couple of different avenues.
Okay.
The Kindle is the newest edition. We were not able to download our books to Kindles
Okay.
up to now, and then Amazon worked out an arrangement with the vendor Overdrive, who we get our electronic books
Okay.
from. So that was pretty exciting because people would come in with their Kindles all thrilled that they could download a free library book and find out that they couldn't. So
Okay.
we're that just started last
Okay.
week.
So that is operative.
So that is operating. And as far as numbers, it changes regularly because they're always adding to the
Sure.
collection. But there really are thousands of books. If you go in, you can see what's currently available. You can search that in a variety of ways on our website at oshkoshpubliclibrary.org. And we've been slowly working on trainings and things for folks. They'll come in a small group. We'll say, they'll sign up and we'll say, okay, we're going to do a session on the Nook, the Barnes & Noble
Okay.
reader,
Yeah.
or the Sony e-reader, or the iPad, or we're trying to sort of group people because there really are differences between the way you do it with the different devices.
And now there's a new device that was just announced like yesterday that's coming out.
There's always
So- And
there'll be
something
one next
new,
week.
and then the next version of the existing one isn't always the same. So it is requiring a fair amount of assistance, and we're just asking people to be patient. We have to educate ourselves as we go along, and we do the best we can to assist the customers. Because
They do that at circulation desk or reference desk?
No,
or?
it's upstairs on the second floor at the
floor.
reference desk. Those
Okay.
folks are, and several of them have their own readers, and so
Okay.
they're, getting more versed in how to do this. And we just opened a technology learning lab this
Okay.
year, and that's where we're doing some of the classes for our staff as well as for the public, because, like I said, we have to get up to speed on this, and it's always changing. So.
Well, I have a question, since Dan was insightful enough to bring up about the Kindle stuff. Not that we're trying to get people to not buy the books if they want them for their Kindle, but can you tell us what the cost differential is? If you know, and if you don't know,
I
that's
can.
fine.
There's
But is it more advantageous to rent it through the library than it is to outright buy it, or
Well,
does it depend on the book?
It would, I guess it depends on your needs as a reader. A really voracious reader who is going to read several books a week.
That would
I
be
can
Dan.
imagine that might get a
Dan.
little bit expensive.
I
I mean,
think
the
a normal-
prices are shifting and changing on those a bit too, as the publishers work out how. This is the e-book thing has really
Yeah.
turned everything
Yeah.
on its ear, and
That's a really good question. So if I get one book from the library, I have to pay for it?
no, you do not.
It's free.
And you said rent. A lot of people
Yeah,
say
you
that.
know,
and
rent.
I
It's
just
just-
to
Well,
clarify, right?
yeah.
You're borrowing
Yeah,
it,
okay.
borrowing.
but you're
Borrowing
not.
it, yeah.
Right. You don't have to pay a fee at
And it
that
doesn't
time.
go,
just
I
don't
keep
want
it, I
people
don't
to think-
return it or anything.
It returns itself,
Oh,
basically.
okay, all right.
But you're right.
Through
you
the
don't have to do
magic.
it.
Yeah, okay, so it's all right. I think the
It's
normal
no
Kindle
longer
book is
on your
about $9,
device.
$10.
Right.
But,
that's probably
any
true.
book that's out of copyright and Kindle has are free. So if you want to read the classics,
There are a lot of books, a lot of free books that Kindle
a lot of
has.
free books.
Correct.
Yeah, so it doesn't cost you anything for
It
those.
depends on your reading needs.
It does.
And we just really, one of the things that we stress is we want people to read, and we want you to have a good reading experience. So if that means you want to come in and get a book on CD, if that means you want to get a large print book, if it means you want an ebook, whatever, we're trying to fill the need as best we can within our means to, for different readers.
Okay.
And again, it's Oshkosh-Public-Library.org, and I think we have probably been putting that up, but if not, we've got it programmed in, so it can be put up. Go ahead.
Shelving books, my
Yes.
my major complaint this summer.
Okay.
Okay. The mystery books are in fiction. They're not in the mystery section. A lot of them. So I go to one section, then I got to go to the other section.
Oh, okay. Well, they may be duplicates. There are
No,
certain
they're not
authors
duplicates.
that, okay, so
And the-
things
and-
that you feel are mysteries are in
And the other one is, my eyes are really, and I got to take my glasses off, but they're alphabetical, but once you get to the P's, the PZs could be the first ones, and the PAs could be the last ones. So I'm spending a long time going through the P's to find, if it was even close, if the A's were with the D's and the G's were the M's, it wouldn't be so bad. But the A's are with the W's and stuff. So maybe it's just, volunteer people. But this summer has been really tough to find books.
Summer is a very busy time,
I know.
and you do have a lot of, but if you have a consistent, we're always open to
Yeah,
suggestions.
I know.
as
That's
far
a good
as-
library, but you're here, and
That's right.
I'm there 2 or 3 times a week, and
I'm in the
those are
hot seat,
those are
so.
my summer complaints.
Well,
you
make
know.
sure you share. We want
Yeah.
people we hate to think of people off to the side stewing about these
Oh,
things
no,
and
no,
not
I'm not
telling us about it.
No,
So.
I eventually find the books, and I
And
take
like I
them.
said, summer
It's okay.
summer is crazy. There's
Yeah.
just far more people in there.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
Well, and
keep
we
working
are
on it.
yeah, and we are winding down now. You're finished with your summer stuff, and
Right.
it's chilly enough outside
Yeah.
now, and the calendar says that fall is upon us.
Yes, it does.
But it's
things-
open on Sundays now too.
Yes,
which is
so
nice.
there are lots of things that you have going on that are coming up at the library in the fall, and as we head into the holidays.
We
Tell us
really
what's
do.
going on.
It's kind of amazing. You sort of heave that sigh of relief that, okay, we got through summer and things went well, and then I looked at the fall calendar and said, whoa, get back to work there. We have a lot of things coming up. Right now we're doing a program with tweens, which are the sort of forgotten in between. You're not a child and you're not a teen yet. Now you're a tween. So
Were you
we
ever a
have
tween?
a program.
Was I ever a
Yeah.
tween? Well, I'm sure we all were.
I don't know that they existed
I don't
at that
think I
time. We
ever-
were. We
I
just
don't think
didn't.
the name
We didn't
or
know
the-
we were.
Well, I got called a lot of
were.
names, but I was never a tween.
So we have some art programs going on Tuesdays and Thursdays for that group of kids, grades 4 through 7. You don't have to register. You can just drop in after school.
Sure.
So that's been a lot of fun. We have an author coming in on October 11th, Kathleen Ernst.
Okay.
She writes some of the American Girl mysteries for children, but she also writes historical fiction for adults. She has her second book in the Heirloom Mysteries, it's called, in the what's going to become a series of historical fiction. She's from Wisconsin, worked at Old World, Wisconsin for many years. And so we're excited because she's going to do a children's program in the afternoon and then a program for adults based on historical fiction at night. So it's going to be really kind of a neat thing.
And you said that's October 11th?
Yes,
Okay.
October
Which
11th.
is a Tuesday, I think?
Yes, it'll be on our, all the details are on the website, so that's
Okay.
the best place, or call the library. Teen Read Week, starts October 16th, and we have some fun things. We have teens are going to vote for the best, what they think is the best book ever. So
Wow.
they can fill out a form, tell us what they think is the best book ever and why, and there'll be prizes, and we're going to have our teen book club meet during that week as well. They meet once a month and discuss different books, and this time it's The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, which is the first book in a hugely popular series. And then we're going to have a teen movie. We have movies at the library. A lot of people don't realize that. And the teen movie, when they come in, they get to vote. We have 2 or 3 movies, and they get to vote, and then they decide right there what they're going to see, and then they sit back and watch the movie.
Democracy
So
in action.
that's
It
right.
starts even
That's
before
right.
you're old
You
enough
need
to
to
vote,
train them early.
in regular elections.
And then one other program I want to mention, October 18th, is Denise Blaze from Oshkosh comes in, and she's going to do a program called Mary Lincoln's Story. And she does the program in character as Mary Lincoln's sister and tells Mary Lincoln's story. And it's we're excited about that because those are really interesting and fun programs. So.
Now, just out of curiosity, not to put ideas in any kid's ear, or head, but what do you think will probably be And just give me a couple ideas of what you think might be one of the more popular, best books of all time. Do you think it'll be like part of the Twilight series?
There's a lot of Twilight fans out of there
um,
still. They're out there, and there is the first part of the final movie is coming out this
Yeah,
summer, so a
yeah.
lot of kids will probably be rereading that, although that was a crossover. A lot of adults read that
Yeah.
as well. You know, a lot of kids were big into Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Again, the Hunger Games series was a big one. There's young adult literature is really fun and exciting.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of creative things going on, and a lot of adult authors getting into YA literature now too. So that's I'm sure there'll be plenty of
What do you
ideas
think,
from our
Cheryl,
teen readers.
If you had one to pick.
I don't know, because I haven't, I've not gotten into reading any of them. I see the size of those books, and I'm just like, oh.
Like one of the Harry Potter
And
ones.
plus,
So you need your audiobook. Then you can listen while you do other things.
Plus I'm not into this vampire stuff. I just, everything seems to be
Vampires are-
vampires these
yes.
days. It's in books, it's in movies, it's now on, I think there's three or
It
four
crosses
different.
all genres.
Yeah,
we were
there's
talking
3 or
about that
4
this week,
different
that you
TV
can even
series now
find,
that are
historical
focused-
vampire fiction.
yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, and so I just,
But I hear
I'm
the
not-
werewolves are taking over, so
Yeah,
the vampires may have had their day. I'm not sure.
So yeah, I don't know.
We should get a vampire on for Halloween.
Oh.
We could probably find you one.
All right, I'll be the werewolf, you can be the vampire, and won't we look adorable?
Oh, I didn't mean us. I mean a guest
Oh.
to interview a vampire. I don't want to.
Oh, jeez.
Isn't that a movie, Interview with the Vampire?
Yeah, Interview with a Vampire. I think that was
it was.
actually a movie. Anything else going on at the library that I'm trying to look through my notes here?
We'll have
on
holiday
that you
programs,
sent.
especially for families. We have, we'll have something Pumpkin Tales in October, Story Feast in November. We've started doing our new head of children's services has done a lot of puppet shows, so we've started bringing those back to the library. I guess they used to do them years ago, and the kids really like that. Usually it's some sort of a classic story that the kids like, and they turn it into a puppet show. So.
Did you talk about fall story time, the Pajama-rama? Did you mention that
No,
yet,
I
or
didn't
no?
mention that. That's part of our regular story time sessions, but a lot of people say, I can't come, I work during the day. I can't come to story time during the day when you do a lot of your sessions. And so we have a family story time on Tuesday nights, and this session, it's Pajama-rama, so you can wear your pajamas and bring your stuffed animal and listen to stories, and sometimes they have a craft activity, and that's pretty much for any age. Most of the rest of our story times are divided up by age group, but that one is more of a family focus.
Yeah. Just real quickly, because we're almost out of time, how did your used book sale go?
That's funny because we were just talking about that today too, and apparently they came about $25 short of an all-time record. And
Oh, wow.
the
That's
reason
kind of disappointing and yet heartening at the same
it
time.
was really great. And one of the things we've been at the farmers market once a month this summer, which has been wonderful to have on Main Street. And we promoted the used book sale, and just the Friends of the Library. A lot of people don't know that we have a Friends of the Oshkosh Public Library group, and they do advocacy, and they help raise money. And I mean, thanks to them, we have such a wonderful summer program with the prizes and all the things that make it fun. So hopefully, I think being at the farmers market helped show a lot of people that the used book sale was coming up, and so it was really great.
All right, terrific. Anything else real quickly and before we close out here, or did we cover it all?
I think we've covered a lot of it.
We did cover a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just come down. I think a lot of people have some preconceived notions about the library. They're not sure, can I get a bestseller there? Yes, you can. We have our Lucky Day collection where your checkout time is shorter, but
Right.
for the really serious readers,
In the books,
they
right in
want
the front
those,
when you
right,
walk in.
they
you
want
can-
those bestsellers. But we also have a lot of things, how-to has become a huge thing for us, and we've got cookbooks all over, and we've got woodworking and all sorts of.
Do-it-yourself
That's
projects
something
at
that
home.
surveys have shown that people are really interested in. So we have just a lot of those types of materials. So just come on down and
All
spend an hour or two.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much.
Hey.
It's always
Thank
a pleasure
you.
to have you.
It's great to be
All
here.
right, that's going to do it for us. We will see you next time. Until then, take care. Keep your eye on us. We've got Our Eye on Oshkosh.